In fact, the whole universe is expanding in all directions, getting bigger and bigger, like a balloon inflating. I admit this sounds strange, but to cosmologists, it's like winning the lottery. Because to work out where the universe came from, all we need to do is to stop time and make it run in reverse. Rewind far enough, and everything gets closer together. A lot closer together. All the galaxies, in fact, every single thing, converges to a single point, the start of everything, 13.7 billion years ago. So it's quite simple, really. Follow the clues, and we can deduce that a very long time ago, the universe simply burst into existence. An event called the Big Bang. Then it expanded. With a tremendous flash of radiation. From smaller than an atom to about the size of an orange in less than a trillionth of a second. Almost no time at all. The universe simply inflated into existence, unfolding, unfurling, getting bigger and cooler with every passing moment. Within 100 seconds, it was as big as our solar system, trillions of miles across. While this was happening, the pure energy of the cosmos began to cool and create matter in the form of countless trillions of subatomic particles. The first stuff there ever was. Half these particles were made of matter, the same kind of stuff which makes us. The rest were made of the opposite of matter, stuff called antimatter. When the two meet, they destroy each other in a flash of energy. It seems as if building a universe is a pretty wasteful process. Fortunately, there was just a bit more matter than antimatter. Just 1 in a billion particles of stuff survived. Which was lucky for us, because that residue is what our present-day universe is made of. You could say that we are made of the smoke of the Big Bang.
كل شيء حي أفلا يؤمنون.
Have those who disbelieved not considered that the heavens and the earth were a joined entity, and we separated them and made from water every living thing? Then will they not believe?
ثم استوى إلى السماء وهي دخان فقال لها وللأرض ائتيا طوعا أو كرها قالتا أتينا طائعين.
Then he directed himself towards the heaven while it was smoke, and he said to it and to the earth, "Come, both of you, willingly or unwillingly." They both said, "We come willingly." Quran, Surah Fussilat, Ayah 11. happened approximately 60,000 years ago. An animal started to roam the earth. Men. Before man, there was something else that roamed the earth.
In the beginning, three were created. Man, made of clay, angels, made of light, and a third, made of fire, called the Jinn. Created with free will, this third race ruled the world for thousands of years.
Up front now, the former Pentagon military official who ran the covert government program up until this last November, Luis Elizondo. Luis, thank you so much for your time tonight. I mean, first, tell us what the purpose of the program was and why it was so secretive.
Sure. The purpose of the program, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, was really designed to do just that. From a national security perspective, identify those things that we see, whether we see them electro-optically, we see them with radar, we see them as eyewitness reports, through a myriad of different ways and avenues that we receive the information, and try to ascertain and determine if that information is a potential threat to national security, in a nutshell.
So what did you find?
Well, we found a lot. I think it's probably been a little bit mischaracterized in some of the social media you see and what people put out, because a lot of times when we don't have a lot of information, we tend to fill in those gaps with what we think is logical. And there's still, by the way, a lot we really don't know. I think what's important is that we have identified some very, very interesting anomalous type of aircraft. Let's call them aircraft. Things that don't have any obvious flight surfaces, any obvious forms of propulsion, and maneuvering in ways that include extreme maneuverability beyond, I would submit, the healthy G-forces of a human or anything biological.
Scientists at Cornell University modeled a cell that could exist on Saturn's moon Titan. Titan, Saturn's largest moon, has a thick atmosphere, liquid ethane and methane seas, and organic-rich chemistry somewhat reminiscent of a frozen early Earth. Titan couldn't support organic cells as they exist on Earth, but it could support methane-based, oxygen-free cells. The researchers theorized a cell membrane called an azotosome. It's a membrane analogous to the liposomes we know exist in earthly life. It has the same stability and flexibility. But these azotosomes are made from nitrogen, carbon, and hydrogen molecules, molecules we know exist in Titan's seas. So it's possible that carbon-free life could exist on Titan, or else on some exoplanet or exomoon with a similar structure.
Iblis is a creation of God. Iblis is a creation of God. Iblis is a jinn. Iblis is, he's made of fire, which the Quran talks again in several places that he's made of fire. But where did Iblis come from? And were there the likes of Iblis before? So the Mufassirun have commented. Again, this is based on those narrations that I talked about earlier. And what Allah Azza wa Jal did is that He created a whole creation of jinns that were on the earth, and this you will find in many of the early Mufassirun have commented on this. He created them on the earth.
And the jinn race we had created before Adam.
And they lived on earth for 2,000 years. The jinn in these 2,000 years, the jinn are not the smartest. Allah gave the jinn a lot of strength, and Allah gave them a lot of powers, and they could do many things. And the jinn were living on this earth before Adam alayhi salam. And there were nations, and there were tribes, and they were living, and they were getting married, and there was descendants and stuff.
Hypersonic velocities, low observability, positive lift, again, seemingly in defying the laws of aerodynamics.
Because jinns could fly, see, and jinns could go through many of the heavens. They could go up and down. They didn't have to stay on the earth. They didn't have to stay on the earth. They could travel up. It was only when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came that they were trapped within this first universe. This is clear from the Quran. This in Surah Safat you will find this. In Surah Jinn you will find this. That Allah did not allow them to go beyond the first heaven, or the first heaven meaning the end of this universe. They can't go past that after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam became a prophet. But before that they could go above that. So what happened is that on these travels, Iblis proved himself that he was so close to God. And Allah Azza wa Jal then allowed him to get closer and closer to higher and higher basically. And they say in some of these narrations that there was no space in the heavens was left, like no large space was left in the heaven, but Iblis had gone there and he had worshipped God. So he was a very, very, very close, you could say jinn, servant jinn, however you want to put it, to God.
Came here, visited, observed.
I will tell you unequivocally that through the observation, scientific methodologies that were applied to look at this phenomena, that these aircraft, we'll call them aircraft, are displaying characteristics that are not currently within the U.S. inventory, nor in any foreign inventory that we are aware of.
So I know you're being clear, but I mean, the answer is yes.
I can't speak on behalf of the government. Obviously, I'm not in the U.S. government anymore. My personal belief is that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone, whatever that means.
And the jinn race we had created before Adam.
And they lived on earth for 2,000 years. The jinn in these 2,000 years, the jinn are not the smartest. Allah gave the jinn a lot of strength, and Allah gave them a lot of powers, and they could do many things. And the jinn were living on this earth before Adam alayhi salam. And there were nations, and there were tribes, and they were living, and they were getting married, and there was descendants and so forth. But they were so corrupt on earth. They caused so much corruption. They killed each other, deceived each other, cheated on each other, took the rights from each other. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent an army of the angels to fight them. And this army of the angels fought them and pushed them out of the land and made them live on the islands of the sea.
Now the jinns are made of fire, and the jinns, one of the things they have inside them, being fiery is that you're angry and you're hasty, you're fast, you're very powerful. Now the sifat and the qualities that the jinns have between them is that they are in fights, and they are in quabbles, and they are in superiority, and who can prove who's greater. This is one of the nature of the jinns, and they're always in the spirit of challenge. Now there are good jinns. Allah Azza wa Jalla has said that in Surah Jinn itself. He's talked about two different groups of jinns, and he said the salihun, and there's those who are pious and those who are not pious. Now the ones that were on the earth were both types, and messengers came down. But the messengers in the many numbers were killed by the jinns on the earth. And there was great corruption that prevailed on the earth. There was great corruption that prevailed on the earth. Now Allah decided that He's going to send the angels down to the earth and to banish the mutamarrideen, or those jinns that had causes a lot of corruption on the earth. So this group was going to come down, and they're going to kill many of these jinns that were just out of control. Iblis volunteered that if he can come with the angels to kill these corrupted jinns on the earth, and Allah Azza wa Jal gave him permission. So he came and they killed a lot of these jinns. They left only a few on the earth, and from these few again the progeny of the jinns would start.
We do not know if jinns and so-called aliens are the same entity, but one thing is sure, is to not panic. We have to remember that human, jinn, alien, if they do exist, are all part of creation. Our Creator told us not to be afraid of those entities. He also gave us advice as to how to defend ourselves against such entities like jinns. For one, they, like human, are oblivious of future. Especially in the Quran, jinns were totally unaware of Solomon's passing away. But when we decreed death for him, naught showed them his death but a creature of the earth that ate away his staff. And when it fell down, the jinn came to know plainly that if they had known the unseen, they would not have tarried in abusing torment. Surah Al-Saba, chapter 34, verse 14.
The Quran also made us understand that if we have strong belief in our Creator and rely on Him, the jinns cannot harm them. The aliens appear to have influence on people who has weakness about the concept of one creator or creation theory, and may be subject to mental anguish caused by those so-called aliens through abduction, etc. For more information about these non-humanic entities called jinns, one is encouraged to study the Quranic texts.
Have those who disbelieved not considered that the heavens and the earth were a joined entity, and we separated them and made from water every living thing? Then will they not believe?
وجعلنا في الأرض رواسي أن تميد بهم وجعلنا فيها فجاجا سبلا لعلهم يهتدون.
And we placed within the earth firmly set mountains, lest it should shift with them, and we made therein mountain passes as roads that they might be guided.
وجعلنا السماء سقفا محفوظا وهم عن آياتها معرضون.
And we made the sky a protected ceiling, but they from its signs are turning away.
وهو الذي خلق الليل والنهار والشمس والقمر كل في فلك يسبحون.
And it is He who created the night and the day and the sun and the moon. All heavenly bodies in an orbit are swimming.
أيد وإنا لموسعون.
And the heaven we constructed with strength, and indeed we are its expander.
والأرض فرشناها فنعم الماهدون.
And the earth we have spread out, and excellent is the preparer.
يسأل أيان يوم القيامة.
He asks, when is the day of resurrection?
فإذا برق البصر.
So when vision is dazzled,
وخسف القمر.
and the moon darkens,
وجمع الشمس والقمر.
and the sun and the moon are joined,
يقول الإنسان يومئذ أين المفر.
Man will say on that day, where is the place of escape?
كلا لا وزر.
No, there is no refuge.
إلى ربك يومئذ المستقر.
To your Lord, that day is the place of permanence. Do not be grieved by the greatest terror, and the angels will meet them saying, this is your day which you have been promised.
يوم نطوي السماء كطي السجل للكتب كما بدأنا أول خلق نعيده وعدا علينا إنا كنا فاعلين.
The day when we will fold the heaven like the folding of a written sheet for the records. As we began the first creation, we will repeat it.